And hey, I just heard us on Twitch.
I just
Yep.
fixed it. Cool. It
Woo!
it has to pick up through however I'm listening to you all. And so last time I was going without headphones and it was coming out of the computer. But now I've got it. Yeah, it's all good. So last time we played, you all had finally managed to escape from the strange primordial Fey forest that had intersected with the office of one Dr. Archibald Moore at Ravenbrook University. You successfully rescued Dr. Moore. You defeated the enslaved Fey that were keeping him polymorphed and captive. And you managed to find out a little bit more about what was going on. He told you a strange tale of mysterious break-ins and the theft of not powerful magical items, but actually beginner equipment. And so you all discovered that he had meant to meet with his cousin Argus at his residence in Riverside. Auric remembered that Argus is supposedly in the ICU. So you went to check out the crime scene. Upon arrival, you found strange blast marks across the porch and into the house. You found a broken window, some depleted fairy dust, and the most shocking discovery was Argus, alive and well and fully conscious, hiding in a magical panic room in the basement.
Ta-da!
His decoy clone had been attacked by his assailants and taken to the hospital in his place. He corroborated Archie's story and gave you all a couple of leads to potentially follow up on, primarily ones involving his family, the illustrious Blackthorne Circle, who pretty much run arcane human magic in Queensboro. So the two avenues that were presented were to try and go directly to the Blackthorne sort of main house, their headquarters, or to try and reach them through their academy on the outskirts of town. You all returned to your respective domiciles for a well-deserved long rest. Some of you sent some important text messages and other kinds of messages. And I guess we'll pick up with everyone sort of waking up in their own home.
Oh, shoot.
And we did establish off camera that you all did start a group text.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think probably you all wake up and find that there is a text in the group text that is literally just 5 pictures of a black screen.
Good job. Take pictures of your packet.
And then one picture with like a golden scaly thumb half in it.
So say how many screenshots do you have in your gallery? That's what happens to me. Accidental screenshots.
So I'm pretty sure the first thing Cyrus is going to do upon waking up is to plug everybody's cell phone numbers into his tracking software.
All of them easily pop up, and now you are stalking all of your companions.
Yep.
Their every move.
Great.
I mean, I didn't know any better.
I got nothing to hide. I just own a bar.
And to be fair, Auric, he was already tracking you.
Unsurprising.
Just for emergency's sake, I promise.
So it's probably getting well into the evening now. You all took your 8 hours. A rule that I realize I have not been interpreting entirely correctly. It's 2 hours of light activity and 6 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So you all were able to kind of decompress, send some messages, get a good snooze, and now it's probably 7-ish. Sort of unusual time to be waking up. But what do you all want to do?
Well, getting on to 7, I probably slept through lunch. I better get myself some dinner, and Lou's is always the best place to go to get some greasy food.
We specialize in grease.
So group text dinner at Lou's.
For me, yeah.
I'm already there. Come on over.
So some of you have been there a little bit, but Lexi, would you like to say more about just sort of the vibe of Lou's?
Honestly, when I think of Lou's, I think of Bull McCabe's, which I know will make sense to all of us grown people, but wouldn't make sense to anybody outside of Divinity School too much. It's a darker atmosphere. Not super well lit, but also like it doesn't need to be because it's casual and laid back. It's not, it's not trying to be a club. It's a bar.
So dark in the comfortable sense, not the mysterious sense.
Yeah, dark in the comfortable sense, not the mysterious sense, like McCabe's was.
Does it have old pews as well?
The furniture's definitely old. I wouldn't say that they're pews necessarily, although some of them might have been at one point. Lexi inherited it. Inherited it. She bought it off of the previous owner when he decided to retire. So she got it as is, so she doesn't know the entire history of it. It was just kind of a thing. Think of like, oh gosh, what is that? Dog Salvage. There's that Salvage TV show that's on HGTV. Yeah. So the only reason I know of it is because Dog Salvage is in Roanoke and my family's from Roanoke. So my parents have been there. But, kind of, I mean, it's like a thrift shop for like furniture type, and they take buildings that are being torn down and remodeled, and they take, it's where you're gonna find that ancient farmhouse sink that the rich lady wants in her kitchen. So that Lou's has been put together with that kind of mismatched stuff. Things that were found by Lou, just kind of on the side of the road, sort of, even sometimes. Lou found something interesting. He had connections with everybody. So he knew when to get it, the crowd was being torn down from somebody's old and that sort of thing.
And I imagine it's also the order the same drink, and it'll come in 2 different glasses.
Yeah, different kinds of glasses. There may or may not be, this is a reference to my dearly grandfather's bar, and had a bar downstairs in his there may or may not be part in Barbie doll on display in the back. Never understood that as
Okay.
Yep, that's also where the lamp was. Okay. The gin lamp. I have a lamp made out of Gordon's dry gin. Gordon, of course, is my maiden name that my gramps had. So it's eclectic. It's casual. It's darker. Everything's mismatched, but it's the place you go when you just want to hang out. It's not. You can conduct business there, but it's definitely not where most people would think to take business clients and things like that. Yeah. It's more for hanging out after work, more blue collar crowd, rough and tumble, working hard rather than working in the office all day. People who use their hands rather than, office work. So
I think if it was a similar setup to sort of the bar from Cheers, Archie was definitely like the much more genteel Fraser Crane.
Probably, yeah.
All right. Also, would you like to throw out a name / description for another bar employee? Because you have Caleb, who is kind of
Yeah.
your gopher, sometimes bartender, most time waiter, busser, whatever. Figure
Does
he's
everything.
probably not running it by himself when you're not there. So
No. Let's see. Caleb also has the first name that jumps into my mind is Craig. And so Craig normally is in the back doing the cooking. But he also has experience in bar. Cooking is what Craig loves to do. So that's why you normally find him in the back. While Lou's is primarily a bar, it serves food. So, they do have a limited menu of pub favorites to feed hungry patrons, but it's not a restaurant the way that other places are. It's a bar primarily. So Craig can be found in the back cooking, but also doing extra bussing or even some bartending when necessary.
So I don't know why, but in my head, I immediately thought big, like muscly weightlifter guy. And maybe he's Lexi's like workout partner.
Okay. I can see that because I was kind of picturing a bigger guy myself. Honestly, I was thinking of other names like Craig. One came to mind that is very similar to Craig, but is an actual person who I knew at my previous church who would fit that description of like big dude.
I'm thinking
Teddy
of
bear, but big.
a friend from Peace Corps who was a linebacker for Clemson.
Okay.
Who also really, really loved to cook. His name was Jim.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, the fat chef is kind of cliche. How could someone eat like pub food all the time and not gain a lot of weight? And it's like, oh, he works out like crazy. And I think
Yes.
maybe he heckles Caleb all the time, trying to get him like he's kind of got him on like a weenie weightlifting plan, and is like push him along.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you all arrive at Lou's. You're welcomed by, again, this sort of warm, dark, casual atmosphere. Lore decisions rolling in the back of my head. Auric, you would have noticed this before. But all of you, when you arrive, there is an unusual vibe to the place. And I don't just mean like the people or the like decor, but quite literally there is something strange about the atmosphere that this building generates. I'm going to have the three of you who are not Lexi make an Arcana check.
Oh, nat 20.
Nice.
But wait. Oh,
6.
exactly. 20 plus 2.
I feel like I should have done better than a 6.
I got a
It
9.
just feels like home.
This kind of works though. So Cyrus and Auric, you get a weird sort of dissonant, conflicting feel as you get closer. There is something that both immediately feels like home, and you also kind of have a strange sense of like something trying to keep you at arm's length. It's a very confusing, just sort of momentary, like you feel it right as you're about to walk in the door, and then it's gone immediately.
Well,
Zyra,
considering my mother, that does feel like home.
Zyra, you, I think that you're just more sort of in tune with the energy of a place. Like you think in poetry and metaphor and imagery, as you enter this space of Luz, you pick up a tangible presence in the stones of this building itself. You perceive this. You don't feel that same push away, but you do feel something. You connect with something as you come in. There's an awareness to this place, more so than just a building. It's definitely unusual.
So would you say, like, as I walk in, I'm aware of where the stones are? Or...
Almost more that as you get close to the building, you feel like the building is watching you. Like, you feel like the building is evaluating you as you come closer. And I guess you would get a little bit of that same dissonance, but I also think you are able to pinpoint the source of it, even if you don't know exactly what it is. And so you're able to kind of parse out those feelings.
Yeah.
So all of you enter this warm, welcoming space. How are you all going to sit? How do you want to sort of arrange yourselves in Luz?
Well, immediately walking in, I raise a hand and go, Craig, the normal double nachos, please.
You got it.
That's perfect for Craig.
He just kind of and disappears into the back. You start to hear whistling of various things.
And assuming we all come in about the same time, I will, like, not quite drag, but lead towards my usual booth, which is not in the shadowiest corner, but not the most brightly lit either.
Towards the back, where people tend not to go because it's not on the main pathway to the bathroom and stuff like that.
A good booth for people watching.
And I think it helps too, because I think the vibe of Luz is very much like, if you're in that main area, it's sort of an invitation for people to just come and go and hang out and interact. But putting yourself a little further back says, I'm not necessarily, up for people to just pop in and out of my table.
I don't want to be sociable with strangers tonight. Or
So, Colby, has Zara been before? Presumably, if she's friends with Archie, she's at least been a few times. Has Zara felt the building watching before?
I think that you would have felt something odd.
Okay.
But this is maybe the first time where, like, you just have a moment of clarity as you approach. And it might have something to do with, like, your experiences with sort of the arcane and fey magic and all those things. That's been sort of weaving its way in and out of your life for a while now. But today it's like the forefront, bold underline, like,
Yes.
You've probably burned more spell slots today than, in months prior.
Yeah, I can see that.
it's one of those, since it's on the forefront of your mind, you see it more frequently rather than when it's just in the back of your head.
Mm.
So Zara will walk in and look around and see Auric and say, Craig, fish and chips, please. And head to Auric's table.
You see Craig's in the back kind of working on nachos, and Caleb pushes the door in and just yells, sorry, what was the order you just said?
Fish and chips.
Hey, Craig! Fish and chips! Aight.
You've got yourself a nice spot here, Auric.
Yeah, It's a good one for when you need to just sit and think and not be disturbed unless you're ready to be disturbed. I find myself disturbed enough without outside help.
Truer words were never spoken.
Cyrus will drag in a couple of minutes later and order a burger and fries and something dark to drink and join the booth.
Oh yeah, drink.
What you want?
Is Woody working tonight?
Maybe. If you're nice.
He makes the best flaming nun out there.
Knew you were going in that direction. I should have known you were going in that direction. I'll make sure he makes you one.
All right.
I don't know the reference.
Meanwhile,
but it's...
Lexi always has some fries like being cooked, and just like that's like her dinners that she just kind of munches as she works. So she may bring the plate of fries over. She probably won't share because this is her dinner.
So you all,
Woody, Lexi's nickname for her mall.
I'll steal a sip from Cyrus's drink and say, this too. I'll have another one of these.
We'll make sure it gets done.
So after just a couple minutes, it's all fairly quick food. Caleb disappears in the back, comes back out with a big tray with fish and chips and a burger and special nachos and double nachos and a refreshed basket of fries, and and a round of drinks for everybody. And you all are left to scheme out your next move.
Good lord.
Okay.
I only have one note.
So I suppose we have two possibilities. Low risk, low reward, or high risk, high reward.
I've always started with the academy first.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
I reached out to a contact, and he's pretty sure there have been more break-ins than have been reported, and somebody's keeping them all very quiet. And so I'm not sure if we want to stir that hornet's nest quite yet.
Fair. Yeah. I confess that I have never been particularly fond of wizards and wizardry, so going to see Argus was already pushing the comfort zone. If we can avoid the more agitatable part of the family.
Suppose that's one way to put it.
I'm also not quite sure how to if we're not supposed to mention Archie or Argus to Vela, then I don't really know how to explain why we're there.
It's a good point.
But if maybe we can name drop somebody from the academy sent us, if they're on better terms, then we'll have an easier end to that conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. Vela does not strike me as the type to come to lose. So we can't pull that angle on her.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose worst case scenario, I could always name drop Steve. I don't know if she would know him or not, but it would at least lend some credibility. But that feels like a worst case scenario because I feel like Steve would be mad at me if I did that.
You don't want to make Steve angry.
I don't want to make Steve angry.
I will throw out something that probably Cyrus would have picked up. because I assume that you probably were. You gave me a list of certain things that you asked about, but you were probably also looking up some of these names.
Yeah.
One thing stuck out to you really clearly, and maybe helps inform some of this other stuff. Vela is Argus's daughter.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Also,
It's that kind of family.
I mean, all of you are probably reflecting on the fact that Archie felt it necessary to hide about half of his name from just about everyone, as far as you can tell.
Mm.
fun.
So
No, I want nachos.
It's your bar. You can get nachos.
No, I mean literally.
It's dangerous to start ordering fictional food.
I know. We do have taco chips, but I don't know what kind of cheese we got. So
While she's not looking, I cast prestidigitation and make Lexi's fries taste like nachos.
thank you for helping.
That's actually on my list for a Acquisitions Inc. game where it's all about like making money. Is hiring out apprentice wizards as like food flavorers at restaurants.
Nice.
Since you all are talking about it, how about all of you make a history check in relation to the Blackthorne Academy?
14.
Man, 4.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. I don't. Even though I've lived here my whole life, I don't. Well, this is just all new to me. I've just been living my life as your average bartender, and all of a sudden there's this thing called magic and like Feyland, and we got transported, and what the hell?
that's the second time I thought my dice was really good, and apparently it was like the side view, and so I got a nat 1. It looked like a 19.
Oh no!
19
Man,
but
that's just frustrating.
We don't know.
So what did Zyra get?
7.
Oh goodness.
We know nothing.
I mean, I feel like these are explainable. Lexi has no reason to be involved in any of this. It's not something you would have thought of much. Zyra, you were probably on tour when there was sort of the initial publicity blitz for the Academy.
Oh yeah.
Cyrus, I think you're like just trying to parse information on your phone and are just not checked into what's going on just this second. But Auric, I imagine you probably on the same bus tour. The long part of the bus tour took you out. I mean, probably a good like 10 or 15 miles outside the city, and pointed out some like historical battlefields and some different things. And one of the stops was this Blackthorne Academy. It used to be the Blackthorne Manor, and it's sort of halfway between like an old fort or keep, but also with sort of a country manor style woven in. So it looks very sort of... it's a very sort of luxurious space, but you can also still kind of see places where it's like, oh yeah, that was where someone stood to shoot arrows at people. Kind of that mixed vibe. That was, of course, the original facility, and around it, they've built up the academy, and now there's large, like, dorm buildings. There's several practice fields, which you remember because when you drove by, one of them, like, blew up. And so, of course, that caught your attention.
It was a great tour.
Must have been the first years out trying new spells.
So it's really a whole sort of complex built up around this older building. There's a, not like heavily fortified, but there's like an old stone wall that used to describe like the lawn of the estate. That is sort of the official boundary of the academy now. It did seem like folks were kind of coming and going. It's only been around about 5 years. And one of the things you learned on your tour is that there's really a mix of different kinds of students and different age ranges and backgrounds. There are some students who board there year-round, mostly the younger students. There are also basically like middle-aged and older folks who woke up one day and found out like they have a predilection for magic. And so they're sort of catering to all those different people. It's a big part of the Blackthorne family's prestige in the city. And there's a lot of like international students as well. Mm-hmm. It's really one of the foremost schools for learning arcane wizardry anywhere in the mortal realm right now.
Okay. And because I'm just that kind of nerd, it sounds physically at least a lot like Vatican City. Old fort that has been repurposed and is kind of wide open now.
All right. Makes sense.
I mean, in my head, I was kind of thinking like Plantation Hogwarts. Like,
I was thinking Xavier Academy.
Yeah, it's all kind of in that neck of the woods. It's a little more fortish than Xavier, but that's the right sort of style of like the nice older building that's been repurposed as a school. And
I like Plantation Hogwarts.
What if Hogwarts, but Georgia?
Oh, man. Man.
Below the gnat line.
Now, y'all, this is a levitating spell. And it's Wingardium Leviosa. Leviosa. You got it now? All right. Let me see some levitating. I kind of want to do that now.
Well, I mean, that's not how you pronounce Leviosa to do it properly, as Hermione Granger tells all of us. It's Leviosa.
Oh. But yeah.
You gotta wonder what those southern students were doing, how they were doing on their spells if they had that thick accent.
So you got that genteel sort of Wingardium Leviosa.
Incantation vernacular or dialect is a whole interesting thing to dig down. Just to sort of touch on our modern setting, those of you who are proficient, I'll have you make a technology check.
I do not.
I am not proficient.
I am not proficient.
Oh, Lexi should be proficient. I might not.
I don't have it listed here.
Click on additional skills.
Additional skills. Ah, there we go. Nope, that can't. Nope.
Drop down custom skills.
Custom skills.
Oh, no, never
Nope,
mind.
I don't have it listed.
Oh, well, I'll fix that.
Okay.
19.
Oh, Lord. Well, that Zara only knows that the building is looking at her. Only thing Zara knows. Technically, Zara doesn't even know where she lives right now. The only thing Zara knows is that the building is looking at her.
I mean, it does kind of make sense because I would imagine that probably Cyrus is a person who is never far from his phone, and Zyra probably not as much. Doesn't really fit her vibe. Oh, yeah, I didn't give you technology. I'll add that real quick.
Okay, appreciate.
I think I even gave you a cell phone. I just didn't give you anything to use it with.
Yes.
So, any information that would be on sort of their public-facing website, you were easily able to pull up.
You might need to refresh the page.
So you can easily get directions. You can find things like names of like admissions people, of administrators, most of the faculty. You might also find a few things about courses they teach and things like that.
15!
How do you only have a... Oh, no, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Proficiency of 2 minus 1.
Yeah.
I was like, 1 feels really low for a proficient skill. All right,
Meanwhile,
yeah.
I'm
Intelligent. Yeah. Lexi's in her 40s, so you know that technology came in later, and yeah, she's got Gen X technology, not millennial or Gen Z technology going here.
That reminds me, how do we do the in order to gain advantage on a like standard check? Do we just tell you we're using our phone, or does it depend on the check? Okay.
Almost anything that's just like a yeah, it's just the kind of check you're making. Although a truly bad technology roll might skew the information you receive.
Okay.
You know, because the internet. You're going to end up on a web page that ends in like .nza or something.
Right.
Sponsored by Herbalife.
Speaking of sponsors, not to be sponsored, but this is lovely.
Ooh.
That I was drinking that earlier. That's in our fridge.
Dragon's milk.
And appropriate for Dragonborn.
I'll drink it next week.
And yes, that is a wooden cup that he's pouring that into.
Oh. Yeah, so you all are able to find all the basic info. Auric is able to say a little bit more about his experience there.
Sorry.
You know at least a couple of names of people you might interact with. My whole list of Blackthorns. From what you had gathered, Vela is highly placed, but might be tricky to convince to help you. He specifically mentioned Ulst, who is a professor there. And looking at the webpage, you find that he's a professor of transmutation magic. They also mentioned Hilarion Blackthorne, who is the headmaster. And actually, you find a couple of pictures that seem vain, almost, of this. Again, you're finding there's a very distinctive Blackthorne face, at least in sort of the men of the family. His is the narrowest and sort of most gaunt that you've seen. He runs much more to the full gray. And he has several pictures that are like him with a wand, like, you know, very dramatic, epic pose. And you're like, this guy is like a
bit full of himself, isn't he?
Yeah, but then underneath the pictures, there's a little video clip of him using a fireball to destroy like 200 wooden targets. He just like completely eradicates a whole training field of target dummies. And you file that away as, okay, there's something behind that.
I could do that too if I wanted to. I just don't want to.
Bit full of himself, but he does actually know his stuff, and yeah.
I do look over Lexi's shoulder and find the website so I can take that picture to make memes later.
Glad you have learned the most important part.
At like 2 a.m., all of you are going to get a text message that's that picture, but the words like, my fireball blows all the dolls off the yard.
It's canon now.
I swear to God, if you actually send that at 2 a.m.
It's canon. It's too late.
All right. Is there anything else y'all want to try and figure out about the Academy before you go visit?
Do we want to go visit tonight, or do we want to wait until tomorrow? After all, it is a school. It might be weird to roll up after sunset.
Unless they have an event. Surely.
Roll, one person, roll a d20, and this is just going to be a pure luck check. On an 11 or higher, there is a public event tonight.
Gabby?
There's not a public event.
4.
You look, and actually, you do see that tomorrow there is an exhibition session for the upper level evocation students, and it is actually being run by one Vela Blackthorne.
All right.
Cool.
It's part of how they recruit students. It's kind of like when an elementary school takes all the kids to see an orchestra perform. It's like that, but with more explosions. No offense to the orchestras, but the explosions are more popular.
I like the more explosions. So like implying into at an orchestra where at least some explosions.
There's a reason everyone loves the 1812 overture.
I was going to say, you have heard.
I like explosions.
Thunder wave. Boom.
Yeah. Da, 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 boom.
The percussionist thunder steps and just blows away half the band.
No, this seems like a good way for us to get on campus without, we have a legitimate reason to be there, but without having too many people asking questions that we might not want to answer during an active investigation.
If we're not going anywhere tonight, Cyrus will offer that he also has there's a fae in town that runs kind of under the radar that he goes to for information at times. If anybody's got any other questions, we want to try to see if he can answer.
Did you enjoy your communication system with him?
I was not expecting that. Yes, that was interesting.
It's amazing how weirdly specific some of the folklore gets.
I make sure that Cyrus knows that this Fae friend, if they're ever in trouble, can find a safe place at Luz.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot I know about this new intermingling that we are having. But I do know that the most important thing about Luz is being a safe space for anybody. So.
Well, the only questions I can think of, I think, are ones you would have already come up with, like what this ridiculous sigil might do. We've seen some of what it does, but other connections it might have.
Yeah, he's not in touch with the noble echelon, so
Fair.
that was outside his wheelhouse.
It does seem like something that it's a little bit hard to get a grasp of how hard that is to figure out, because so far the three people you've run it by are 2 human wizards and a very, very low tier Fae individual. If you wanted to, there might be avenues to go and figure more out about that. But it would probably mean engaging with some higher ranked Fae, which could have interesting complications.
Mm-hmm. This contact of yours, how to ask? Is his information primarily related to this world, or does he have connections on the where I come from as well.
The other side.
I don't want to say the other side because that makes it sound like death.
Cyrus has never had dealings with the Fey realm before now. So anytime Cyrus has asked questions, it's always been related to this side. So
okay. I mean, it's very much just a personal sort of thing, but I would be curious to know if news of Mort passing has made it home yet.
So, Gimbal knows a lot of things about a lot of things, so I wouldn't put it past him to know, but I can't say.
Right. I am sure that if the news has made it back, then my family is very much split on their opinions because Mom hated him. Dad thought he was funny.
Poor Mode is dead. Poor old Mode. The Mode is dead. That's immediately where my brain went. Chalk it up to the theater major.
There you go.
I actually did do a major project on Oklahoma, so that's understandable.
And you would know this, Cyrus, from what you've gathered, not having a ton of expertise in this area, but Gimbal seems to be some kind of minor spirit who, in a pre-Sundering era, actually lived fairly closely with humans, like his people did. They were, depending on how the mood struck them, household spirits who would sort of help with things, or if you ticked them off, they might, jack up your world. But what you've gathered is that he sort of adapted to sort of an urban environment. Very quickly, he lost that sort of old world feel that a lot of Fae bring, and has really sort of self in this new image of sort of urban magic. Past, it would have been magic about, making shoes and grinding grain and things like that. And now he's able to get his information from, pigeons and trash cans and graffiti, and he quite literally reads urban landscape and just is able to pull information both through magical and mundane means.
Oh, is he Neon Court?
He would...
Ew.
You would suspect he has sympathies in that direction. It'd be hard to say if he is sort of officially aligned in that way. But he does represent a bit of why the Neon Court exists. Fey magic that is changing and adapting to this new human realm.
I realize that I'm sitting here going ew as I'm obsessed with the human world, but
I mean, it kind of makes sense though too, because you're not necessarily. Oh, go ahead.
There's some propriety involved. Have some propriety.
Like, the Neon Court are fundamentally changing the nature of the Fae. They're embracing that and wanting to move deeper into it. Whereas, you're here and you're enjoying it, but you're not necessarily I don't know, you're not integrating your nature into this urban environment in the same way.
Right.
All right. Anything else you all want to know, or anything you'd like to do with a little bit of downtime? Or should we just press the fast forward button and travel by map to the Blackthorne Academy?
Sure.
Fast forward with one quick 2 a.m. pause for the aforementioned beam.
I mean, at that point, I'm still up, so, it doesn't bother me.
I guess an interesting question. Do any of you all have a car?
I think Lexi probably does.
They wouldn't let me.
That was a very smart decision on their part.
Do you fit in a car?
Yeah, but I think I did perfectly fine on the driving test, all things considered. Again, I have to ask the question, why are there 6 pedals if there's only 4 directions?
Oh my God, seriously.
Cyrus probably has something, but I don't know how.
Yeah, whether Cyrus owns them or not, there's probably like a garage somewhere that he has like a passcode for, and it's like a whole array of vehicles, like, you know, motorcycle, old beat up car, police car, you know, sports car, big black SUV.
Getting a very interesting picture of Cyrus here.
Yeah.
It's not
But
a car.
But it's like, I assume it's like NBI. Like, I have to explain to somebody at some point what I borrowed.
Yeah, it's in the neighborhood of like either an official, you know, sort of car depot of some kind, or maybe like an off the books cache of vehicles that you can trade a favor in for to borrow, and know that at some point in the future you've got to even up on that.
Yeah.
All right. So what kind of car does Lexi drive?
So Lexi has an older sedan. One of the bigger ones, not like, I currently drive a Corolla, so, you know, that like more like a Camry rather than a Corolla, one of the bigger ones, rather than the more compact, but it's probably got some age. She might have named it Pokey. No, seriously, that's what my parents named that's what we named the Corolla when I was a kid, or the Camry when I was a kid. It's got some attitude, but you know, it still runs fine, even though it's got like 200,000 miles on it. It's seen better days, but it runs. What are you looking up? You think I would have that?
Maybe.
Maybe the biggest car ever made. What we're Googling right now.
I mean, the idea of Lexi in like a Camry is really funny to me. Like, because I've been that person in a Camry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like a Lincoln Continental, but it's your car, Lexi.
I don't know. I don't know cars beyond Toyotas and Hondas. That's all I've ever owned, except for one dumb Ford.
All the money goes into Luz.
I had a Buick.
Ooh, Buicks are good because those things are like boats.
That had bench seats on the front and the back.
Oh man, I remember those days.
That sounds like exactly the kind of car Lexi would have.
Actually, yeah, bench seat.
In the front and the back.
Yeah, Lexi would definitely have bench seat.
Navy blue Buick with blue velvet upholstery.
Either that or she's got a pink pickup truck.
Nah, honey, that's for the deliveries. We don't use that to haul people. We only use that to haul goods.
So
Air conditioning has never worked in that car.
What has never worked? The air conditioning?
But the windows do.
Oh, so you got the you got the 250. That's what we used to call it, my aunt's Volvo. You roll down the windows and you drive 50 miles an hour.
No, I would just drive 60 and put my hair back.
Well, yeah. No, that's how I roll too.
So I love this image we've established of the four of you now like cramming into this vehicle. I almost wonder, was the car maybe also Lou's and just sort of came with the place?
It probably was.
That feels right.
I got the car too.
You called her a cheaper.
Put put you in the back. Shotgun.
I like to think maybe Auric in his mind is like channeling some draconic ancestor who like soared over the world and felt the wind on his face, and it's expressed as.
I mean, I do remember being teenagers one time before we left on a choir trip and going out early in the morning for Waffle House before we left for New York. And one of my friends finding how to open the moonroof that I'm pretty sure had a crank handle in my other friend's really ancient car, and sticking his head out because he could, because that's the kind of thing we did. Because it was 4 a.m. and we were all really tired.
This feels right.
And there we
All right. So you all head out into the countryside around Queensboro. There are other directions leaving the city that sort of emerge into suburban sprawl. This area is actually, there's some tax incentives, some protected status that kind of keeps this more of the classic agrarian area that has been there for hundreds, thousands of years.
They have to have a certain number of acres to build their house on.
Yeah. Yeah, this
Trust
is it's the rural buffer zone. So you all head about 15 minutes out of town. It really is a gorgeous area. It's a lot of like green rolling hills into small patches of like dark woods. You see a few mostly like historic buildings out here. A few places where things used to be like the village that was on the outskirts of town, and now it's like a historical reenactment village. You pass like maybe old guard towers that used to be part of the city's like watch network. And as you make your way out, you do guess there's more traffic than usual. And you do in fact see a couple of like school buses, and as you get closer, you can now see the house itself. And it's wider than you expected, the main building. It's not built super tall, but it just seems to like spread forever across. You see there's about a probably 10-foot stone wall that runs most of the perimeter. You see again historic guard towers sticking up behind it. But you can also immediately pick out like areas where the historic guard tower has been updated to be a modern guard tower. And there are in fact some security folks kind of keeping an eye on everything. Nobody's like visibly holding a gun, but there's a lot of like, talking into shoulders and like binoculars and looking around. You all are actually directed to a parking area that is outside of the wall and then brought around to the main gate. There's a pretty good crowd milling around. And actually, even as you get close, you can hear explosions. You gathered from the website as you were looking at it that this exhibition event is to allow the older, especially the oldest evocation students, they're sort of the superstars. They're the mascots of the school. There's a lot of other cool magical things that go on, but they really pride themselves in their blasters, basically. And perhaps that has something to do with the headmaster. So they're really amping this up, and you know that there's sort of the lowest level students are basically like doing shooting competitions with firebolt. There's more advanced students who are doing the equivalent of like skeet shooting with ray, and even some of the students are doing like, as you're walking in, you catch one student and you're not quite sure what's supposed to happen because the device that's shooting the target spits it out into the air, and once it gets out far enough, it bursts into like 5 smaller targets that fly off in different directions. And you see what probably Auric would recognize on sight as a high-level magic missile. And he just... and bolts catch every single one before it hits the ground.
Golf clap.
I was going to say, it's like skeet shooting.
Yeah. So you see people walking around. There's really a bit of a festival air. What do you all want to do?
Well, I imagine on the drive-in, well, since Lexi was driving, that I was probably, and Zyra was shotgun, I was basically grabbing Cyrus by the shoulder and pointing at everything like, look at those battlements, aren't they amazing?
Yeah, and Cyrus is doing that. Yeah, huh?
Lexi is very glad that Zyra decided to call shotgun so that she is not distracted while driving.
I was not going to distract you anyway. I am a good passenger.
Unlike my mother.
Remember, we're on the internet, y'all.
She'll never see this.
But once we're out of the car, I'm probably very tempted to go into the festival itself.
Well,
I'm not going to lie.
Are we going to need to put a harness on you and make you a leash head?
You can kind of see the way it's laid out that like the actual exhibition is being kept mostly to the forefront of the school. There's a lot of big open lawns here, and you can see that in some places there are permanent practice fields that essentially are like large, sort of dusty, earthen areas. You also see, just for grins and giggles, everyone make an Arcana check as you are walking around.
Are you kidding me? 5.
18.
12.
12.
Are you kidding me?
Pretty good for Lexi.
So, or if
You were too
you're,
busy staring somewhere else.
yeah, there's just too much going on. You're having like brain explosion. Like this is so much happening. Lexi and Zyra, you notice that some of the fields have like strange patterns on them. And at first you're like, oh, they're maybe like magic circles or something. And you do see some circles of different sizes, but you also see weird like triangular shapes and like long lines. And you don't see any like runes or anything. Cyrus, you're the only one that puts together some of these fields are pre-marked with area of effect lines on them. So that students can kind of learn to anticipate how far a spell is going to spread. And you can see that they've been very careful. Like, you know, the long straight lines go away from the crowds, and there's like designated explosion areas. You catch this because you rolled pretty well. You see a few mostly older looking folks wearing all the evocation students you've seen have had this distinctive black and red robe, all the ones who've been participating. The younger students, really, they've got more like red and black, almost like school gym uniforms going on. But as the more impressive magic goes up and up, you start to see it sort of evolve more towards like formal robes with, you know, fancy patterns and things in them. What you notice, though, is at the edge of each of these fields, there's a student in a different color, a blue and white, who seems to be maintaining some kind of spell on each field that is containing any errant magic that flies out.
Are these like, if you go like Google like the professors in the different schools, can you put together what what robes match what school specialty?
Yeah, you're pretty easily able to figure out between what they're doing and sort of context clue. These are probably the abjuration specialists.
Can I look up the color combo for transmutation?
Sure.
And a campus map / directory for Ulst's office.
So you look it up, and you're able to figure out that transmutation is actually purple and silver.
Ooh, pretty.
You only see a few of them scattered around, and it's mostly like, it looks more like younger students who are maybe either observing themselves or are helping out in non-magical ways. You do catch a few who are like helping like repair fields as they're disrupted. So you know the color. What was the other thing you were looking for?
Pulse office.
Like
Ulst's
a directory, some indication of where his office might be.
That level of specificity, I'm going to have you roll for that.
Okay.
It's probably not on the public-facing page, but it's probably in one of those where, like, if you can guess the name that'll show up in the link, you'd be able to find, like, you know, the fire evacuation plan map.
Is that tech?
Yeah.
I got an 8.
You are not able to find it. The public-facing website mostly is like, here's parking, here's admissions, here's the cafeteria. It doesn't quite get so granular as to have like individual professors.
For some reason, the faculty directory is not in the staff page.
Well, and even the staff page, it's only showing maybe 4 or 5. The website strikes you more as an advertisement than as like a tool for existing students. You imagine that they probably have other ways of getting that information.
You got to have your login and passcode to go through the portal for the existing students.
I don't know the portal spell yet.
I think their network would probably be called Bramble or something to continue the Blackthorne theme. So as you all are kind of figuring out what's going on and where you want to go, a particularly notable explosion fires off fairly close by.
Lexi ducks.
Lexi goes down or goes up.
You
Shields Lexi.
it doesn't seem like to be an uncontrolled explosion, but you do definitely hear there's like a huge wave of fire goes up in one of the fields. You can't even see what the targets were. It's so much fire, and there's just a ton of clapping and cheering. It looks like it's probably the main field, like the showcase. Looking up a thing.
So y'all saw, and I don't know how to work the phone well enough, but I know y'all saw that one of the professors we were talking to did something like that.
Yeah. We knew of their existence. I'm not sure we wanted to talk to them.
Oh, was that not one of the ones we wanted to talk to?
We could split if you want to go. If you want to go talk to one of the. If you want to go talk to an explosion specialist. You can shop talk with the evocation.
So you can actually see this from where you're at now. The fire subsides for a minute, and you actually see a form flying up through the air. They're wearing the black and red colors, but it's the fanciest you've seen on anyone yet. It even has like elements of, and you can even pick this up from where you are. Like it's literally glowing in places.
So that's the space, the headmaster.
Unless
Well,
it's Vela.
y'all make a perception check. This is a fast-moving target surrounded by fire magic.
There's my 20.
13.
9.
18.
You see so Cyrus and Auric pick this out. You're almost having to like squint because she's zipping through the air, flinging off all kinds of different spells as she moves, and you just catch a glimpse of like dark hair down to about here, and a darker complexion that might just be like a deep tan. It's kind of hard to tell at this range. And it seems to be a woman, a young woman, and maybe her. It's hard to guess, late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in there. And the crowd is going nuts, just like. You imagine that this is probably Vela.
Vela was the one we didn't want to talk to, so maybe I don't want to talk shop.
Yeah, I definitely want to try to seek out one of the transmutation kids. I'm just trying to decide if Cyrus would try to bluff them. So I'm trying to decide if he would throw on something that looks more official, and what that would be, because I'm not sure cop uniform. I mean, it might work, but I'm not sure that's the right vibe out here.
Is there a private school that the headmaster, like a private elementary school that the headmaster has a specific wardrobe for? Because that's like what came into my mind.
I mean, a good technology role might find that for you.
Suddenly Cyrus is wearing academic robes with the hood and everything.
But he's got the master's robes where he can hide his keys in the little dippy down part rather than the armbands of the doctoral robes.
I was a 21.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, you're easily able to find. It's a small, very elite, like lower school that runs basically like preschool through late elementary, and it's very much, billing itself as like we are training the leaders of tomorrow today. And you see the headmaster is I think my garage is opening. The headmaster is this older man. I need to do some research on how to have diverse characters in a non-real world parallel, because none of the phrases we use actually would make any sense in this context. But anywho, older man with surprisingly like dark straight hair still, even though it's receding on him just a little, and round glasses, and he has a sort of ridiculous looking like vest it's like vest, tie, pinstripe pants, and it's in a purple and gold. The gold's a little subtle, but you guess it's probably the school colors.
Okay.
Oh, and what's his name going to be? There we go. A name.
That's a great academy name. Prestwick
Oh,
Academy.
Ooh. I got tacos, y'all.
Whoa.
Tacos!
Headmaster Halm Orillo.
Yep.
Kind of tacos.
Probably Taco Bell, but I was feeling like lazy junk food today, so.
Double nachos.
Double nachos. There we go.
All right. So I'm gonna. I guess if we're in a like crowd, I'll try to find a spot to like slip on, not just like shift the mantle in a crowd of 50 people. I'll try to find a slightly
You
more.
just stand behind Lexi. It's fine.
I just stand in the middle of the three of us. There's enough action going on. No one really
Yeah.
anything else.
As long as we,
Explosion.
yeah, just let us know what you need to do, and we'll protect you.
So you actually spot several signs that are kind of directing people to different areas, and you see several that point towards restrooms.
Okay.
And you find some of the nicest porta potties you've ever seen. And the explanation for that becomes quickly apparent as you see what looks like a group of like sullen, dejected teenage students, like just circulating from one to the next, casting prestidigitation, and then like moving to the next one.
They keep them constantly clean.
Yeah, just from the vibe, you gather that this is probably like a punishment duty for students who are lacking in grades or have gotten into trouble. They do not seem happy to have this job. It is quite literally a crap job.
Oh, you get to cast prestidigitation. That's one of my favorite spells. You are so lucky.
One of the students he's got a very like square face, a lot of like acne, like right in here and here, and he just gives you a.
I'm just remembering from our days at Duke when they would bring the guy to clean the porta johns during camp out, and like, you know, there he's got the hose and he's just like spraying them down.
I know that prestidigitation is only a cantrip, but you will be amazed once you have mastered this spell, as you are well on the way to the kinds of things you can do with it.
Besides cleaning out porta johns.
And then I make his tie taste like nachos.
All right. While that distraction is happening, I assume Cyrus is transforming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just the mantle. I'm not gonna impersonate the headmaster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just wanna shift into a suit with the same kind of purple and gold.
Make yourself look like you're a teacher there.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And find a transmutation student and ask for directions to Holst Blackthorne's office.
All right. So you're able to find one. It doesn't take too long. There's like one or two sort of floating between the different fields, kind of getting them ready between exhibitions. And it's a young girl with bright blonde hair in one of those sort of side cuts. and she's sort of racing back and forth, and you can tell she's getting tired. Like, she's been doing this for a while. It's a lot of spell casting. Even though it's cantrips, it's over and over and over. And she sees you trying to catch her attention, and is like, you see her customer service brain kick on. May I help you?
Yes, Avery Dunn, Prestwick Academy. I need to speak with Professor Ulst Blackthorne. Had an appointment with him today, but I've forgotten how to find his office.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know why you would have scheduled. Make a deception check, and I'll give you advantage because you've got an official looking attire.
No.
Did the dice go to the floor?
Digital dice never fall on the floor.
Well, what if
Yeah,
they
but my digital dice are rolling core.
What'd you say?
18.
18. All right. You see her kind of hesitate for a second, then be like, whatever, I don't care. You watch that, like, she doesn't say it, but you watch it flash across her face.
Yeah.
And she says, yeah, there's, and she points back towards sort of the main building. And she says, not all, but most of the professors are on, and she points to a wing that you can kind of see where you're standing. And she says, he's like the third one on your left once you get to the top of that floor.
Thank you. Why'd you say it would be odds that he'd schedule something today?
Oh, because of all this going on. The headmaster likes everyone to make a show of support and, cheer for the team.
I was under the impression it was mostly just for the evocation school.
Make an insight check.
Natural one.
Well, you catch just a flash of not even specific enough to know exactly what it is, just like unpleasant vibe that slips through the being polite to a fancy looking adult. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, sure, it's for them. Anyway, I've got to go get the next field ready before the next exhibition starts.
I understand. Thank you.
She runs off.
Well, so now I don't know whether to go try his office or just go try the big field and see if all the professors are out there.
Let's go to the top floor.
Okay.
All right.
We don't robes.
Right.
So what did you say about robes?
So we're seeing a few of the magic of the Ulst person robes, but not really a whole lot of them.
Not a ton. And it mostly looks like it's younger students.
Yeah, so let's go see if they're taking a break.
So are you wanting to sort of see if they're here or in the building?
In the building.
Okay. You do see a little bit of a flow of people back and forth. It looks like there are some actual tours going on. And you see a few more students of different schools. You catch some students in orange, which you hadn't seen up to this point. So you see them kind of leading people around. How do you want to try and approach the building?
Fill a tour group in? How about that?
Yeah.
Auric, find us the next tour group.
I can do that.
Using your carefully honed tourism skills, you are easily able to find. It looks like there's like just a queue of tour groups moving through, and you spot one of these. This one's not actually an orange. This one is. My wife's listening to Rent, apparently. Oh, what color is this one? No, this feels right. This student is actually wearing pink.
Pink.
It's not like the dominant color, because that would be overbearing. But it's like neutral colors with sort of pink highlight to it. Accents in various places. And you see it's a female student who looks maybe like towards late high school and is sort of maybe early college, is sort of waving a like next tour starts here thing. And you see some people kind of accumulating. Every so often like an actual school group sort of goes through, but they also seem to be just allowing passerby in on this. Man, I did not prepare an entire tour worth of information.
We're just following through, like,
Oh, yeah.
to the main space. We're not following the tour. We're just following the tour inside the building.
Yeah, we're ditching the tour as soon as as soon as we see the first opportunity.
Except for Auric.
I was about to say, important question. Did you let Auric know this?
No, we just told Auric to find us a tour group, and he got so excited he ran off before we talked through the rest of the plan.
We'll come back.
Lexi grabs Auric by the back of the shirt to keep him from wandering off.
Because if you don't stop Auric's going to make himself very visible to the tour guide, asking all sorts of questions, and that would not be conducive to leaving the tour group.
Well, it might be if you're our distraction.
Yeah, if you're willing to stay with the tour group while the rest of us go off.
So just some highlights that you catch really quickly. The school's been up and running for just under 5 years. They were basically ready to get up and rolling very quickly after sort of the public awareness was growing of magic. There are students of all age ranges, but mostly it's the younger students who live on campus. Students are trained in all schools of magic, but are encouraged to specialize and have like a particular area of study and research. The Blackthorne name and the sort of where this all started, the Blackthorne was a specific wizard from 1,500 years ago who was... they're not actually clear how long he lived, because he seems to have gone back further than is reasonable. And so it's not clear if maybe he wasn't fully human, or maybe the title was passed down, or if there was some kind of magic involved. But he was a major player in a lot of historical moments, or someone of the name was a companion and advisor to several Arlant kings along the way. And he passed on a lot of his artifacts and knowledge and power to his children. And eventually the family grew into this sprawling Blackthorne clan who have been preserving all of this information. And you're kind of having to read through the BS a little bit. Like, this is very scripted.
They always are.
Yeah, it's like really playing up, how fancy and important and historical and powerful and There's a lot of smoke blowing for the headmaster, for especially for Reginald Blackthorne. There's a lot of talk because he's the in the day-to-day things, Hilarion runs the school. But theoretically, Reginald this is his job, is to be like the headmaster. Technically, Hilarion is the deputy headmaster, but you've already gathered that he really runs the place. There's research laboratories, there's arcane libraries. It's an entirely sort of scholarship-based, merit-based system. There's no amount of money. Jeez. Stuff is blowing around on our porch and it just hit the door. There's no amount of money that will get you in here if you don't have the talent.
That's a good thing in the long run.
Yeah.
But if you have the talent and the money,
Oh, yes, that helps.
okay.
You easily read between the lines on that one. And it helps, too, that, like, the Blackthorns, and this would just be common knowledge, like, the Blackthorns made a ton of money monetizing magic. Like, as soon as all their spells kicked back to full, they were making bank in all sorts of different ways, some of which a little sketchy. They have so much money they don't really need to worry about whether a student can pay. You sort of gather that the school is meant to... The school isn't a service they're providing. It is directly a recruitment arm for the family. Like, the main power of the family is in the Blackthorne descendants, but there is sort of like an old school... you might think of like martial arts traditions in places where they're looking for talented people to either officially or unofficially join the family, expand their prestige, be a part of this network they're creating.
Or just if you're a super powerful wizard, they don't want you going up against the family later.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are low-key trying to control all human wizardry.
Power consolidation.
Yeah. And they're doing it in a very, like, genteel, friendly way. But, like, y'all, except maybe... Well, I'll just say, all y'all roll an insight check.
Hey.
Oh, hey, I'm great in insight.
That-
Oh, hey, I rolled poorly.
Yay! I rolled a 20.
I got an 8.
Actually, I rolled an 18, but I got a 20.
23.
9.
Apparently, this is what I know.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you got muted.
Yep, because I was getting my straw out.
It's fair.
Like, Auric, you're just kind of swept up in how cool all this is. Like,
It's sparkly and shiny.
Cyrus, I think maybe you're a little bit in your head thinking the next couple of steps
I'm
out.
rolling so hard that I'm not paying attention to the subtext.
Well, and
Like, I'm just like,
Lexi and Zyra, you just see straight through this. Like, this is all a grand exercise in propaganda. You know, everything about the school, and especially this specific day, is geared towards growing the Blackthorne name. So, all this goes on. You pass several interesting little arcane sort of exhibition items. There's a clock that just seems to be like free floating elements. You pass an animated statue of an artist's depiction of the original Blackthorne, including like little illusory spells that it casts. This is all sort of like in the main foyer. And you just pass little things like that. Of course, they've got like pictures that move and, a suit of armor occasionally, next to the wall goes like this as you go by. It's that weird Disney-esque combination of like crass pandering, but like done in an impressive scale.
Yup.
So all this is going on, and I'm going to have Auric make a deception check to distract the tour guide.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
You lucky you have
I need to
plus
stop rolling on my
3.
phone because these are ridiculous rolls. 7.
So I think here's how this will work. You distract her, but you also distract yourself. So the rest of you are going to make a stealth check with advantage, and Auric is going to make a stealth check with disadvantage to slip away.
Oh, who says I'm slipping away? I'm taking a photo of our tour guide.
All right.
22 again.
14.
19.
All right. The rest of you
Like,
just
loud.
easily dissolve, and with Auric's just stream of questions and
Can I get a
excitement.
photo of you with this piece of armor as it's saluting?
Can this be our close and we can open up with the conversation next time?
Yeah,
Is that okay? Because I'm fading fast.
no worries. Yeah, I try to be very careful to keep us right at no more than 2 hours. So, yeah, you all easily dissolve. Auric is channeling like hardcore fanny pack energy. And yes, we'll pick up here next time with you all
Awesome sandals.
now unattended and making your way towards Ulst Blackthorne's office. And I'm going to eat a taco.
Awesome.
Yum.
All right, so I'm going to close out the stream. And thanks for anyone who watches us. Oh, hey, there's actually some people in there now.
We actually have
I
people.
wonder if any of them are real. I don't think so.
Dino Evil and Droop
Well,
Dog.
maybe.
If you're real people, thank you.
If you are not
There's
And then,
a
of course,
there's a whole group of bots that were all made on the same day. Yeah, I don't know who this one is. I think Dino Evil is at least a bot that I have not seen before. I think the other one is one of the mass batch of bots that all plug. They all plug the same channel. Yep, it is.
oh well.
All
At least they
right.
were polite and didn't try to, plug it in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, they're there so you click on them and,
Right.
go to their page. But all right, I'm going to take us off the stream, and we'll pick up there next time.